Welcome to Yoga for You, a channel tailored to helping you discover your very own unique yoga practice. Hello my friends, welcome back to the Sagacity Spotlight. Today's guest is Yesenia. You may recognize her from the Yoga en Español videos on this channel. Today we're going to talk about Yoga en Español. We're going to talk about the similarities between martial arts and yoga. We're going to talk about yoga burnout, essential oils, astrology, and even some tips to help the everyday person find better grounding. Hope you enjoy this one. Namaste. Hey everybody, welcome back. My name's Ty, and today I'm joined with the lovely Yesenia. She's been a great friend of mine, and she has been on the channel featured in our Yoga para ti videos, the Yoga for You in Spanish videos. Her magic, her essence, her beauty, her flow, it's one of a kind. And it's an honor to have this space with her and have her on today as our guest. Welcome, Yesenia. How are you doing?
Hello, I am doing well. It's great to be on your channel again. I love what you're doing for this community, and I'm very grateful to be a part of it.
Yes, it's so fun. I'm happy to have your light here. It's so, I mean, look at you. You're glowing right now as we speak, but you have a very unique and bubbly way of flow. It's one of a kind. So it's an honor to help show that to the world, you know?
Thank you. I'm cheating. There's a window here and it's just shining all this crazy light on me. But yeah, I like to think I have a perspective just because of the way I found yoga that is unique, and I think I have a thing or two to offer still. So thank you for having me on and for edifying me. So,
Of course. How did you find yoga?
well, I had a friend actually. I was working at the Corner Bakery Cafe in Rancho, and I had a friend named Summer who had grown up a vegan and like had all these really mystical practices from the time she was young, including yoga. And we would just hang out and like meditate or or try to do headstands or handstands. And just like, I think her character and the way that how yoga brought light and love and magic into her life really inspired me. And being a martial artist as a kid, like I got my black belt when I was 15, junior black belt, no big deal.
That is a big
But
deal. You could beat anybody's up. That's really fun. Did you enjoy that?
I did. I liked the sort of competitive nature because you're going at your own pace, but I really, really wanted to achieve that goal and have the right amount of discipline. And as like the oldest child, I just really vibed with it. And that's where I first learned about stretching and meditation and those kinds of things, but I didn't really give it the title of yoga until I had my friend Summer teach me a bunch of things. But the meditative and the stretching and the activity has always been a part of my life. That's why I think this isn't the first lifetime I've been a yoga teacher.
Love that. Yeah, the martial arts path is a beautiful path I mean, I think the most important takeaway from martial arts is exactly what you said, discipline. You know, that teaches really good discipline, and the fact that you had that at a young age, no doubt shaped your understanding for what kind of repayment process that discipline looks like. You know, a lot of people, they'll try discipline. A lot of people who are new to maybe a new practice, for instance, new to yoga, they'll try it for a couple weeks and then they'll just kind of sizzle out. But it's when that sizzle out happens, as you well know, that's when you just got to keep pushing the gas pedal and like, you know, keep going a little bit. And that leads to the breakthroughs that we begin to discover that make yoga so beautiful and unique to our own experience. How can you speak on, have you ever had any experiences like that with yoga and burnout?
Definitely with yoga and burnout. As a yoga instructor, you know, teaching yoga several times a week, sometimes it takes away from your own personal practice. So I've definitely experienced different levels of burnout, but it's important not to stay there. It's important to realize that your energy, your depth of wisdom comes from a place that's that's bigger than you in a way. It's like an infinite well of abundance. And it can be hard to remember that, especially in times where you're down and it feels like the whole world is just like piling shit on. But yeah, I think it's just really important to remember that you can take a break. Like, so you don't have to be super yogi doing 2.5 hours of Ashtanga every day, 6 days a week in order to be a yogi or in order to have a sense of discipline. It's almost a little way. Yoga is different than martial arts because martial arts, there was always a goal and it was concrete and it was tangible and it was public, like getting the next belt, or if there was a big panel that you had to like do your forms in front of and they had to agree, and they were your teachers, so it wasn't like you were quite like on display for the world. But it still was sort of like you had to pass this test. And with yoga, it's way more internal, so you can give yourself the breaks and the time. And I think that's why it's a lot more challenging than martial arts to stick with, because it's all personal, it's all internal. There's no show, there's no test.
Yeah.
It's just you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very, very profound point. You know, it is that self fulfilling validation that, you know, I've never thought about it like that, but that's a really nice way of comparing the two. That's awesome. So when did you start getting into teaching?
I would say in the martial arts thing, because in order to become a black belt, you need to teach a certain amount of hours to lower belts. And again, I don't know why I keep going back to the oldest child thing, but I always felt like I was a teacher for my younger siblings. Even as a kid, the one thing I wanted to be when I grew up was a teacher. And then like I got older and then I realized what the public school system is really about. And I just didn't vibe with it as much anymore. But here I am. Like, yeah. I did it.
You did
I'm some sort of teacher, which is yeah, it's been like my life's calling. I don't know, to be a teacher and to share my perspective, like take things in, put them together, and then produce them, take them back out.
Yeah, and give back. You know, give back, absorb. Like you just said, take it in, and then give it back out. That's huge. A lot of people get stuck in the taking it in and can never find the strength or the courage to give it back out, you know, for reasons that are totally relative. But it's a really big breakthrough to get to a point, I think, where you can begin offering what you know back to the people who are just as eager as you once were. How long have you been teaching now?
I like that you said that, because sometimes you need an outlet too. Like you can have all these things inside of you, but like if you don't have a yoga class to teach or the ability to like write a book or produce a song, it'll just stay bottled up and come out in other ways. So
True.
I'm glad that you brought that up. Your question was, how long have I been teaching?
Yes.
Okay, it's been 5 years, so it'll be 6 years this year. Oh my God.
Gosh. You got to get like a special pin or something for that. That's pretty awesome. 6 years.
Gold star on my mat, like Scott would say.
Yes, there you go. That's awesome.
But yeah, I got my first 200 hour in May of 2015 and was teaching like friends and family and stuff. And I started teaching at what was then Riverside in September of 2015.
Nice. Now Riverside is in Riverside for the people tuning in. Riverside, California, SoCal. That's where Yesenia is based and where her teaching stems from. And so you started at Riverside way back when. That's pretty special. So you've been there for a while now.
Yeah, it's now Tula also. Riverside changed owners last year. It was in a bit of a business pandemic, you know, with everything. The business changed hands, and now an instructor who has also been with Riverside for a while bought the studio, and now it's called Tula, and it's the cutest little studio in downtown Riverside. It really has a lot of heart. He's done a really great job with it.
Wow, that's amazing. Definitely, yeah. We'll definitely put some links to that to any SoCal yogis or travelers out there who want to pop in and see the space. It's definitely
yes, please, in Riverside, right by the Mission Inn. So if you're ever in Riverside, San Bernardino for a rave or something, I got you.
There you go. Good balance. You know, you go for your raves with the nas, and then you can come on over and get some yoga in. just to balance out life. You know what I mean? It's important.
Exactly, because you know you're gonna be dancing and headbanging, so you're gonna need some yoga after. And I got you before, after, like I got you.
I love that that is how we're phasing this in because it's so perfect. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Now you, as some people may know, I mean, this interview is in English, but you have a lot of Spanish influence. You have a lot of Hispanic videos that we're putting out there for the beautiful world to get a taste of how yoga is not limited. Where did that come from? Is your background, or how does that? Explain that to me.
Well, yoga en español, our little project started because really our teacher, Scott Miller in Riverside, the owner of Western Yoga College, really wanted to start offering something for the Spanish speaking community because he would have so many students coming in and saying, you know, everything I'm learning here would really benefit my family member. They're going through this, but they don't speak English, so they can't come to the classes. And so he recruited Evelyn and I. Evelyn's my partner. She's a producer as well, or a multimedia artist, and she's like my rock. Like I couldn't do this without her. But yeah, so he was like, yeah, you guys should really do this. I think it could go far. And at the time, I was so terrified by the notion of it because I know just growing up in my own family, and maybe this was my own projection, but if you don't speak Spanish 100% perfectly, like I didn't want to be judged, or I don't know. I had just like a lot of things going on in my head about it, and I was really scared. I almost didn't want to do it, but I knew that ultimately it was going to provide such value. It was going to be such a great service to the community. And I've learned a lot. I've learned more than I ever could have imagined. I'm trying to get more into my own culture. It's hard to teach like your immediate family members.
Why do you think that
So
is?
I don't know. I feel like in my family, they almost see it as like, oh, that's your thing.
Mm,
Um,
it's a really good observation.
yeah, like my mom has said it myself herself. She's like, oh, like I'm just gonna support you from here. Like that's your thing. Even though I like it would really mean a lot to me for her to support me, but whatever, that's my thing.
Yeah.
That's another conversation. But I feel like there might be almost a lack of respect. And I'm saying this because we had a big fight this weekend. But,
Oh,
um, just like they don't really see me as an adult, they still see me as a child.
okay.
So the things that I say, and even though like I'm studying to be a doctor and I'm learning all these things about body chemistry and the environment, and they're still like, oh well, you're just our daughter. Like I don't know, it's weird. You don't have to put this in the interview.
No, that's okay. It's real. It's raw, and that's it's beautiful. It's
Hmm.
beautiful for people to understand that everyone goes through moments like this of misunderstandings, or that's it. Just is. It's how we navigate. And the beautiful thing about this is we get to use our practice and yoga and these conversations with our community to move through places and challenges in our life. But we definitely don't have to keep talking about it. We can talk about more of just what it do you have like a target for the next couple months? Are you looking to give any energy into the yoga in Espanol? I know we have a couple of video dates lined up that we're going to be releasing some fun stuff and re-recording some new
Yeah.
stuff. So that's always something to look forward to. But what about independently? Do you see anything going like that? Do you offer any in-person yoga classes in Spanish?
At this moment, I don't offer any in-person yoga classes in Spanish, but that is going to be changing hopefully soon. We had one partner, Sonia. She also does not necessarily yoga in Spanish, but she'll do like little meditation retreats about like flowers or mindfulness, things like that in Spanish. And right before the pandemic, we actually had planned a date to do a sort of yoga in Spanish retreat, and it was going to be we ended up trying to go digital, but it didn't pan out for many
Hmm.
different reasons. But we are going to try to do something like that again because we're trying to connect with other prominent leaders who sort of already have their community and being like, hey, we have something to offer also. So linking up with her is definitely in the next few months.
That's awesome. Would you ever consider teaching yoga in Espanol privates if that ever came your way?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So we'll definitely link your information below for anybody interested in getting on that. I think that Yesenia's practice is so well versed. You know, I keep talking her up so much, but that's because I've had the pleasure of practicing alongside her in our own personal practice, but also capturing her in the videos that you guys have seen. It's just so unique, and it's so how can I describe it in a couple words? Very affirmative, very fluid, yet very relaxed. And so it's good for all ages. I think you do a really good job at communicating modifications for people, um,
Mhm.
allowing people to literally just get from the class what they need. Where would you say that that ability to teach in such a loving manner has come from?
I think growing up, I was always told to do the thing, but never told how to do the thing. So it made it really complicated and sort of anxious to sort of find the way to do it. And I don't want that for other people. I want people to not have to focus on watching me, to focus on themselves, because ultimately the way this whole yoga teacher training process was practically gifted to me, I see yoga as a gift and I
Hmm.
want to give it as a gift to other people. So I want to make it as pleasant and as empowering as possible, because every single body is different, and who am I to tell you that you have to do it this way? It's about freedom. It should be liberating. It shouldn't be putting you into a box, which I think some types of yoga where you're just trying to get to the pose can be can alienate certain people. And if you're coming to a yoga class, I only have you for an hour. I want you to feel good. That's why we're here.
Yes, that's so beautifully said. I feel like that in that statement alone is the true nature, the true essence of yoga.
Mm-hmm.
And the mind can convolute so many things in this experience, as everyone listening to this knows, including us. But we have this ability to return back to that breath and that feel good sensation that each breath can provide. So yeah, kudos to you. You definitely embody that in your practices.
Thank you. I know I need to, it's a lifelong thing for me to actually get on the mat and do my own practice. So I do a lot of very nurturing things for myself, like grounding or like stretching in the grass to like kind of get that good energy from the earth, or like restorative stuff. But I don't think I need to do more vinyasas and just build on my strength. I think, especially in the transition of my life that I'm going through right now. Um, I've needed a lot of like nurturing and coddling, but now it's like, okay, go do the thing. Like, go
Mm.
find the inner strength, go explore your options, go do new things, because now's the time.
Yeah, it is the time you're coming into that strength, that goddess warrior energy that, you know, you
Hmm.
are.
Thank you. I'm doing my best.
Yes, yes, you are. Now, because I know we talked a little bit before this interview, you also mentioned that you're working on some pretty interesting things about correlating oils with yoga. Do you care to talk about that at all?
Yes. So, and again, just the way these things come into my life, it's such a gift, just like random chance. So I want to share these things as they come into my life because they're just so powerful. And why me? Like, why
Mhm.
me? So let me just give it to you as well. So I've been hosting these yoga classes for I'd say the better part of a year now. Probably started in late December 2019 or 2018. It's been a while. So I've been teaching these yoga classes, which basically incorporate a certain set of oils to the practice, and every yoga class will have a theme. So for last month, since it was the very beginning of the season with spring, the theme was alignment. So we did a bunch of restorative poses to help you align with your purpose. This month we're doing an energy, since it's, full force springtime, Aries season, fired up. So we're going to be using oils, going through more of a vinyasa flow class and incorporating these oils at certain points in the practice. So for example, like a peppermint oil that's really like spicy and energetic will be used right before vinyasa so that it centers you, and it also provides you with like a little kick in the butt for when you start to get sweaty. It like cools you down. And
I like that.
yeah, so yeah, peppermint's one of my all-time favorites. If it is a little strong, so if you have sensitive skin, maybe dilute it with some water or some like carrier oil. But yeah, peppermint is good for memory also. So I would use it when I was studying and things like that.
Little student hack right there. That's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so you're doing most of these in person. I imagine it's hard to do any of that not in person.
Yeah, these would be in-person classes at Tula. Every now and then I'll do one at T3 also. And T3 is more of a fitness studio that I teach at. It's also in Riverside. It's a cute little women's boutique fitness studio that also offers a couple yoga classes. So I do a couple yoga classes there. But yeah, you can definitely practice in person with me at the essential oil classes or at the studios I teach, private lessons now that COVID is starting to wane a little bit and hopefully go away completely. Definitely hit me up about those. It's been a while, but we can get back into it. Definitely.
Yeah, I love that. It does feel like the blinds the shutters are kind of opening back up on the house and the air is coming through. I think the springtime is really helping allow that freshness to come in. It was a really rough year last year for a lot of people. It was a really long winter also for a lot of people. And I feel like the spring is really just kind of cleansing and cleaning and clearing and doing a lot of the beautiful things that spring does. And it does feel like, with proper precautions and understandings and respect, we're beginning to finally move into the direction of, at least just allowing people who feel comfortable to experience the things they wish. So it's nice. I'm happy that you're offering that for the world as they begin to come back.
Yeah.
So you are an amazing, how do I say that? You are very understanding with astrology. We've had a lot of great talks. You've read my chart personally. You've helped me through some major hiccups in life. What are the stars saying about the next couple of weeks? What are we looking at?
Well, it's kind of a big time for the United States. One astrologer that I follow, she's a little problematic, but her name is Marin Altman. I've gotten a lot of pieces of the puzzle have clicked in the way that she's said them. So right now it's almost sort of a chaotic energy, because you were saying that this past year was so hard for so many people, and now that things are opening up again, it's almost as though people are zooming to the finish line, like, let me plan a trip, let me drive super fast. People are driving crazy right now because Mars is in Gemini. Mars rules, I guess, accidents. Gemini rules cars. So just be extra cautious on the road these days, because people have been stagnant, and they want to move again. So it's almost this full force going. We're still going to have some obstacles, but people are almost angry at these obstacles. Venus is in Aries. It's in the sign of its fall because Venus is domicile in Libra. So Libra being opposite of Aries, when Venus is in Aries, it's sort of like this bold warrior woman, you can't tell me what to do kind of energy. And I think a lot of people are having that, which is good, but it's also leading, since Mercury is also in Aries, it's also leading to maybe some misunderstandings or impulsivity. So I think it's really important to check the impulsivity just a little bit, and watch your words and what you say. Like, not everything you think has to be said. And I have an issue with that, I know. But yeah, I have a lot of Gemini energy. But I think it's just important to be compassionate and almost stay in your own lane, work hard right now for big payoff later.
That's awesome. I love how you can I've always been so fascinated with how you can just open up and go on that topic of discussion. Where did you source, you mentioned Marian, but where did you source a lot of your information, your understanding and studies for astrology?
I would say it started with Summer, and Summer wasn't really the beginning of it. She was more like the catalyst that made me like more interested in these things, because I had stretching and meditation for martial arts. Then she was the catalyst for the yoga. And I had like reading into just like Walter Mercado on the TV in Spanish when I was a kid, watching him with my mom, magazine columns. And then she was like, oh, look up your birth chart. And then that was like, okay, this is where I should go. So I would say yoga and astrology became big parts of my life right around the same time. Think I was about 19 years old.
Wow.
And yeah, so ever since then, I read a lot of cafe astrology. I spend a lot of time, like, I follow a lot of astrologers on Twitter and Instagram. So just reading those planetary correlation. There's a bunch of apps that show you what the planetary interactions mean. And I think that's the most important thing because, you know, I can say I am a Cancer and I'm this and this and this, but my moon is in a different sign, Mars is in a different sign. And the way those things interact, it forms, that's what we look for. And I think too many people are wrapped up in just their sun sign to appreciate that we have every sign within us.
There you go. And it's a very good thing to say. I think a lot of people, I can feel it hitting a lot of people in the soul when you said that. That's really cool because there's so much depth to it, right? There's so much depth to it, and whether you choose to explore it or not, it's still the coincidences, if we can even lightly use that word, that comes from just basic understanding of discovering these attributes in us. It can provide some significant clarity in a world that doesn't. So if you're feeling called to, definitely check out some of this information that Yesenia is dropping here. What are some of those apps called that you would recommend?
This is a Vedic astrology app, which is different than traditional tropical, where Aries starts at the end of March. Vedic astrology, Indian astrology, I should say, is a little bit different, but there's this app called Cosmic Insights that will tell you the planetary hour. And that's been something really cool that I found. Every hour of every day is ruled by a different planet. And it goes from the moon, the sun, all the way until Saturn. So Neptune, Pluto, and Uranus are not included, but Cosmic Insights will tell you the planetary hour. Time passages has been my favorite one. So time passages, what else? I think those are the main ones. And just like so much research over the years, like just on my lunch break, just like scrolling through mine or my friends' charts and just like getting to know how like the moon in Gemini acts, the moon in Leo acts, how the moon acts in this. And I like Marin because she's broken down almost to a formula. It's like the planet is the actor, the house is the stage, and the sign is the role that they're playing in the play of your life.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
That's pretty simple, but it's also simple. Yeah, it's really cool. I love that.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely link all that information down below if you guys can join on and pursue that a little bit more if you feel called to do so. But just before the call, you shared an amazing story with me about you were working with just chatting with your grandmother and had a pretty beautiful breakthrough with her. How would you care to discuss that a little bit?
Yeah. Just drink some water. So my grandmother goes through a lot because she worries, she found out that I think her sister's son, so her nephew, may have had COVID, and she's not really sure if he had it, if he's better, or what have you. They probably haven't told her because they don't want her to worry. But yeah, so she was just sort of doing this cyclical thing that so many of us do when we're in a challenging mental state. And she was sort of going around and around in circles, and I was washing the dishes. I had my back to her. She was talking to my mom, and I turn around and I say in Spanish, "Grandma, you always talk about what brings you pain. What if you talked about what brings you joy?" And she said, well, it's just that I think about everyone who doesn't have what I have. And I'm like, okay, but they're going to exist whether you worry about them or not. Like, death is a part of life. Without going too deep into it, I was just trying to bring her out of that. Like, worrying is not going to help you, and it doesn't help them. And, she kept going on with this. It's really hard to, like, if you've been in that state, like I'm sure we all have,
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to pull yourself out of that because you're so convinced that you're right. And that cycling pattern almost feels good because it feels comfortable.
Mm.
So I told her, come on, grandma, let's go step outside. Because in my own mental health practice, just getting outside, putting my feet in the grass just helps relieve so much mental, like, static electricity and just like so much excess mental energy. So she's outside, she's walking around. I'm like, why don't you put your feet in the grass? She's like very stubborn. She's a Taurus. But I love her. And she finally puts her feet in the grass and she's like, oh, the grass is kind of wet. And I'm like, that's okay. That makes it better. That means the energy is like actually, and it is good if the grass is slightly wet, like walking on it like at 5 a.m. when it's still wet with dew is really good for you. So she starts walking around and I'm like, okay, focus on things that you can hear and see and smell, and just get out of your mind and look at all this beauty around you. So just helping her be in the moment with that. After maybe a lap back and forth, she was talking about different things. She loves to talk. So, and she has a lot of Gemini placements too. So that's why I know that the mind is one of the most important things for her. And getting a hold of that is going to help her out more than almost anything else. So she starts talking about happier things, and I look at her and I'm like, your mood is completely changed. Like, you were having like a high blood pressure episode and circling around about things that were tragic, and you were crying, and now look at you're smiling, you're laughing. And just the fact that my yoga experience and the mindfulness practices that have helped me could help her was really powerful and really uplifting. It felt really good.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because that is all we do this because it feels good. And we share
Mm-hmm.
it because we want others to feel good too. And,
Mm-hmm.
even referencing back to what you said earlier, the families oftentimes seem to be, not always, but oftentimes seem to be the least resistant to the change, for whatever reason. But it's got to feel good to be able to see the magic of yoga working in your grandmother's life, and how it's a positive experience, and you help bring that light to her on that day, as I'm sure you do on many days. But that's big. It's really big.
Yeah, in real time. And it wasn't like she was just saying it to so that I could feel better. My family like never spares my feelings. Like, she would tell me if she didn't feel shit, and she didn't. And it was really like me calling attention to it. Like, look at how, like, do you feel different, right? Like, you're talking differently, you're more calm, you're more relaxed, you're happier. And she's like, oh yeah, I guess this does work.
Yes, I love that. So then what tips have you found that help bring grounding? You said walking on grass when it's a little wet, little dew, sensory, tuning into your
Mhm.
senses. I love those styles of meditations, where although headphones and like sacred frequencies and binaural beats are amazing, but there's
Mhm.
something just to be said, even if you're sitting in a city at a bus stop and you just begin listening all around you to all the honks and the birds and the ringtones. What are some of the things that you would suggest people work on to maybe find a little bit more grounding?
Well, this is something that's sort of inherited from my martial arts days, and it's going to sound bad when I say it, but they basically encouraged you to not look like a victim. And what that means is not be leaning against something, distracted, look like not being on your phone, someone could just snatch it away. This was before we all had cell phones. But basically, at that age, I was really able to tune into the power of presence, especially since my own parents, my dad probably has like some undiagnosed ADHD, I swear. Like, he's always like in fight or flight, like going 100 miles per hour. And just really realizing that when you do that, you may be going towards a goal, but you miss everything around you.
Mm.
And I think it might be like I have a really strong Taurus placement where I just really love to hold space and just like be one with the space around me, and be present. And in learning more and more about mindfulness and attention, and your attention really is one of the most valuable things in the world. If you go to quantum physics, you change something just by looking at it. And I think being present with people is why I'm able to connect with them so well, because I'm able to notice like, oh, well, you look, how should I say this? I kind of lost my train of thought. Where was I?
You were just
Presence.
yeah, you're just talking about presence and feeling out the container of the space and the presence of that.
Mm-hmm. So when you're present, you're aware and you're at one with everything around you. So nothing can hurt you because you are everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think tapping into that little bit of magic, getting out of our heads and really using our minds to realize the oneness all around us has been really helpful in my own presence. And that's a great way to get grounded. Like, you can be stuck in a crazy cycle of thoughts up here, but oh, look, a rose. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
oh, feel the wind, or feel the sun shining on your skin. That really makes you appreciate why we're here instead of getting stuck on why am I here? And they're like, this is why.
I love that. Yeah. There's something about just like recognizing that the beauty of life is happening all the time. And it's our perception that shifts. I'm sure maybe you and anyone listening has gone through moments of, depression or sadness or sorrow, where you begin to come out of it. And my mental image of it is like kind of peeking your head over a fence and being like, oh my gosh, this is still been happening the entire time I was inside. This is beautiful. Okay, let me go back out there. Like, there's this conscious recognition that, eventually everyone's different. And maybe that metaphor doesn't work with everyone, but it's just how I interpret it, how I see it. But it's like, what I'm trying to say is just that tuning into that recognition that life is grand and beautiful all the time. And it's only our mind that convinces us it's not. And like you said, if you can recognize that the mind is doing that, then that's a sign right there to go outside and walk barefoot. Or that's a sign right there to go play with your cat or your dog, or do something that you can begin to appreciate this natural world with doing.
When I first became a yoga teacher, I almost felt like I had a personal responsibility to help everyone create the world that we all want to live in. Because once I started realizing that, everything out here is in here, and, we need to fix ourselves internally if we want to fix ourselves externally, I almost made it my mission to, in like my classes, I got really into like esotericism and like, I guess you could call it like magic, sort of like hermetic Kabbalahism in a way, but just like very intro to like these little esoteric traditions, and sort of giving this information to my classes, because it was all about being present, controlling your mind, and creating your reality. And I'm like, oh no, everyone's so fucked up. No wonder this reality is so fucked up. Like, I need to help them. I need to fix them. But now it's more like, okay, some people don't want to be fixed. Some people are comfortable in that fucked up place. True. To some extent, they want to be there because it's comfortable. They don't know anything else. So that's, I think, why too, like, I want to have a gentle approach, because I don't know what people are going through. I don't know why they have the defense mechanisms they have. Maybe they needed them to survive at some point, and I can't know that. So I just want to awaken you to you, because that's where the real healing begins. Like, tapping into your own personal power. Every single person is so unique and so powerful. And that's why their negative projections are just as powerful as our positive projections. So we have to treat them that way, and just treat everyone with respect, and not go around offering them advice. I had a really big issue with that, like giving unsolicited advice. And I'm trying to grow out of that, because people will come to you when they're ready, I guess.
Totally. But
Mm-hmm.
love yourself through that. I'm sure you are, but love yourself and recognize that at the core of that, that is you simply wanting to give love and give understanding and give balance to people. So although that may have caused you some experiences in the past that may not be beautiful, they are still beautiful because of the intention that you carry. But the awareness can take them so much further. There's a wisdom in letting people come to you. For instance, in my life, I've had some situations where, you know, you're speaking with a friend or an older friend or an elder or a mentor about something you're going to do, and then you come back 6 months later and say that it totally fell apart, or for whatever it was, business, relationship, whatever, it totally fell apart. And they're like, yeah, I saw that coming. But there was something so beautiful in that allowance for you to experience life in the way that you have to. It's almost, it anchors the lessons a little bit more. And I've been on a big kick lately of just recognizing how those, I call it wisdom, how those wise elders or mentors can allow that space for you to learn without that advice. So it's like, it's a life journey. As you said earlier, it's a lifetime long. And it's through that observation, even of how others deal with it, that we can find solace, you know?
I think my thing was I was so reactive because I felt a little overwhelmed by this mission that I decided to take on a little bit. So I was like kind of quick to anger about it. And now I think as I've grown older and I've been doing this for a little while now, I've just learned to be more patient and just to walk away when I need to walk away, because I would rather like save the relationship than to just go down a path that, you know, no one wants to go down, that you can't come back from, in terms of like breaking things down for someone when they're not ready, or they're not going to hear it, or they're just like lashing back out at you because they didn't ask for it.
Yeah, that's it. Lessons learned, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of it is family too, like family and brothers and things like that. Like especially I think with the whole pandemic thing, we've definitely went through a lot of that, but I think it's made me a stronger person and a better teacher overall. Like someone can tell you things, but until you experience them for yourself, then you're like, oh, that's what they meant.
Exactly.
Mm.
Well, I love that. Well, I'm so happy that you are where you are and that you're who you are and that we're learning and growing on this path together. And
Mhm.
at the end, I like to always ask my guests just what helped you. Are there any pieces of literature, any documentaries, any people, anything that really began to be a pivotal moment in your journey for somebody who may also be looking for something similar?
Hmm. Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now
Mm.
really changed my life. A lot of people from the Sangha, Scott and Paige specifically, just spoke volumes about this book. It took me a really long time to get through it, as it does for most things. But that, and there was another book, I didn't get all the way through it because I was borrowing it, but it was called Mindful Self-Compassion by Christopher somebody. But that book really helped me out a lot to sort of stop the battle that was going on constantly in my head with guilt and not allowing yourself to feel things and feeling bad about feeling things. So, mindful self compassion, I think, was the one thing that really helped me work on my relationship with myself and realize that the way I treated myself is the way I treated others. So, it didn't always go well. And sort of taking on that responsibility. You know, you are responsible for your mind, you're responsible for your reality in the most beautiful way. So I think that's those two books, Mindful Self-Compassion and The Power of Now, have really helped me out a lot.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on this interview today. Just catching up. It's just so beautiful. Is there anything last minute that's feeling channeled through you that you feel called or propelled to share with anybody right now who may be listening?
Just breathe. Just breathe. I had This really overwhelming episode at work the other day where everything was going wrong, and then I got a text that my rent was going up, and it was just a lot, and I felt myself doing like this hyperventilating thing. And I knew, obviously, like as a yoga teacher, as a meditator, that I had to sort of slow down and breathe, but it almost felt good to be in that panic state. I don't know if you can relate. Like I said earlier, like in that cyclical thing, it's almost like it's comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I started breathing, I was like, okay, it's like a shift. It's a shift in reality. If you're tensed up and then all of a sudden you open up, you leave room for good shit to come in and for the bad shit to go out. And I got home that day and I took my shoes off and I just like walked around in the grass, and yeah, it was instantly better. So just breathe. You'll get through it. Put your feet in the grass.
That's beautiful. That's the best advice I think you could give. Well, thank you so much for your time and for your energy. I look forward to working and creating so much more beautiful content with you in the future.
Thank you, Ty, for all you do for us and for the community. Love talking to you always.
Yes. Too many more fun moments shared and captured.
Yes, I can't wait.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Hey everybody, really hope you enjoyed that talk. It was beautiful to have that experience with that shared guest. We have a lot of very useful information in the description section below, so be sure to check it out. I've also linked any and all videos with that individual in the description below, so check those out as well. It's an honor to bring this footage to you, and I hope you can come back and continue to deepen your practice. Namaste.